Hello class, this is a lecture for Chapter 7, Early Hominid Evolution. A hominid is a primate that walks on two legs. Its biological form of locomotion is bipedalism, not quadrupedalism. So let's get started. We're going to look at how humans differ from other organisms, taxonomy of apes and humans, characteristics of hominids, evolution of early hominids, Australopithecines and early hominids, evolutionary relationships, fossil and early hominid behavior. We're going to talk about hominids in this chapter and bipedality. Humans differ from other organisms. Early hominids did not have a significantly larger brain than their ape counterparts. The quest for determining the characteristics that separate humans from other organisms. Large brain size, developed about 2 million years ago. More than brain size, the way the brain is wired to process information taken in by the nervous system. Hominids evolved in Africa and before we used culture extensively. Hominids, like every other creature, were directly affected by the processes of evolution and the pressures from environmental niches and climate change over generations. The brain was becoming a key in adaptation. Communication, less hair on the face, more facial expressions with apes, transfer over to hominids, creating the ability to cooperate, the ability to be aware enough of your environment, to use tools, understanding the environment and dealing with dramatic climate change between generations so that traditions, cultures being developed had to change. But all they had to change was their mind. They just had to figure out in the new environment what would work. The quest for determining the characteristics that separate humans from other organisms, large brain to body size that we just talked about. Bipedality consists of upright locomotion, meant hominids interacted with niches in the environment in new ways. Frees up hands from locomotion. Now these wonderful tools that we have with opposable thumbs are not tied up in locomotion. Hand-to-eye coordination becomes essential. The ability to cover longer distances with less energy. As the savannas dry up, or as the rainforest dries up and savannas become more prominent in the environment, bipedal primates could walk between these savannas with much less energy than quadrupeds. Upright posture allowed for cooling. Standing upright allows the breeze to hit your body. Also, it gives you visual surveillance capabilities. Of course, if you're standing and you can see far away, then those things far away can see you as well. Hand-eye coordination becomes essential in creating tools, sending messages, and so on. And of course, the bipedal anatomy. The quest for determining the characteristics that separate humans from other organisms. Large brain to body size, processing of information, communication, tools, environment manipulation, bipedality, surveillance, travel, niche exploitation, freeing the hands up, and a way to cool in Africa's heated environment. Now, the bipedal anatomy. The pelvis is changed, the knee is changed, the lower spine is changed. The femur fibula tibial length is changed. Radius of the ulna and the humerus length become different. The foramen magnum at the bottom of the skull moves to the very bottom instead of towards the back. Digits on hands and feet. Opposable big toe moves in line. Digits become straight, because they are being used for more than locomotion in trees. Further development of hand-eye coordination. Traditional taxonomy of apes and humans. This is how we used to look at it. I'll let you look this over. Hominoidae, Hominidae comes down to the traditional way was Homo, Australopithecus, and down to Sapiens. And then on the non-hominid side would have been Pan, which are the chimps and bonobos, Gorilla, Pongo, which are orangutans, and the Hylobates, which are Siamangs and Gibbons. That has been updated. Hominidae, Homininae, Homininini, Homo, the different lines of Homo. Homo habilis, Homo ergaster, Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo neanderthalensis, and Homo sapiens are a few. Australopithecus, boisei, Australopithecus afarensis, which is Lucy, Australopithecine africanus, which is from South Africa. Paranthropus boisei, Paranthropus robustus are two of the Paranthropus genus, and up to 3 others. And then along the Panginae side, Panini, Pan, Gorillinini, Gorilla, and Pogonini, Pongo. As we learn more, as we excavate and dig up more from the ground, find more fossils, we find a lot more information to deal with. Characteristics of hominids, cranial characteristics. A forward place foramen magnum. The foramen magnum is the hole at the bottom of your skull that the spinal cord goes into for your brain. In quadrupeds, it's moved towards the back of the skull. As hominids begin to walk upright, it moves to the center of the skull. Temporal origins, forward on the cranium. The temporal origins move forward on the cranium due to the changes in the biology, the skeletal biology. Canine teeth become relatively small. As bipedalism comes in, the canines reduce in size. The mastoid process, which is this area right here, right by the ear hole, which is the auditory meatus, external auditory meatus, becomes present in hominids. This is not present in non-hominid primates. The parabolic dental arcade becomes more apparent. Here we have an ape, we have early hominid, Australopithecines, and here we have modern Homo sapien. We can see the changes to the dental arcade, and then a few additional unique dental characteristics. Postcranial characteristics below the cranium. Pelvic girdle, lower limbs, upper arm, vertebral column. The pelvic girdle. In quadrupeds, it is more elongated, as in this picture right here. As bipedalism sets in, more of a basket shape becomes the pelvis shape. It's there to hold the organs in now, as opposed to leaning, over. As a quadruped, you're standing upright, and that support needs to be there. Lower limbs. The lower limbs, the femur and the tibia and fibula, are different lengths in quadrupeds, but they are the same length in bipeds. The upper arm, the ulna, the ulna and the radius are elongated because of living in trees, brachiating and moving around. As tree living becomes less of a daily life, over time, the ulna and the radius shrink. And the vertebral column. In the vertebral column, and I've mentioned this before, as primates stood upright, the bottom of the spine became curved. You can go over these again. The forward place foramen magnum, wide flaring iliac blades, that's the outside of the pelvis here. Angled femur coming down from the pelvis. The big toe moves into place. Canines are relatively small. Evolution of early hominids. Hominoid fossils. Mid to late Miocene. Miocene being from 23 million years ago to 5 million years ago. These hominoid quadrupeds showed a basic morphological similarities with what we see in hominids. So one or more of these could be progenitors of the hominid line. So these are quadrupeds, but they do show reduced canines, flatter face, things like this that we see later with bipedal primates. This is a general assumption drawn from information available at this time, and this generalized hypothesis will certainly change. Some of these quadrupeds that seem to have some physical changes from what we found of their fossils: Afropithecus, Keniapithecus, are in Eastern Africa, Mediterranean region. Pyrrholopithecus and Organopithecus. Researchers look for hominid categories in the fossil record. Researchers do not need and rarely have an entire skeleton. Some of the earlier late Miocene fossils have some of these hominid features, and that is why they are considered possible earlier transitional forms of hominids. But there's not enough information from what is left in their fossils to validate that. Hypotheses become theories after validation if they are not falsified. These theories are being put to the test constantly by many scientists. When they prove to be false, they are no longer used. Physical anthropologists use the best information they have at any given time to create the most accurate picture of hominid appearance and evolution. This is the scientific method. It is a process, not a result. Evolution of early hominids. Begin to think in geographic regions, East or South Africa, and in chronology. As you start to learn about these different hominids, I'll talk about whether they're from East Africa, Northern Central Africa, or South Africa. I'm hoping that that will help when you use chronological order to put them in place in your mind.